Are accidents pretty common in this?
Yeah, we are driving within inches of each other. So, like,
Damn.
typically we have a brand new, like, paint scheme on the car, like, for the first round. And by not even 10, 20 minutes into your first practice session, you have, like, tire marks on your door. We're driving, like, so close to each other that it's, like, you're rubbing, like, the tires on, like, the front fenders, or, like, you're getting your rear bumpers close to the wall, and they call it, like, you know, you ride the wall and you leave the paint mark on the white, like, concrete barrier. So
insane. Your heart must be racing.
yeah, we go through a lot of taillights.
Gosh.
A lot of bumpers. There's, like, definitely not, like, bumper budget is, like, another thing.
All right, guys, we got Amanda on today, professional drifter. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I do not know much about drifting, so I'd love to just hear the basics, how you got into this and everything.
Yeah, drifting is actually a very unique sport because it's more like a competition style. It's not like who is the first person to cross the finish line with, like, typical racing. There's a lot of, like, mentality training that goes into it because you really just have one shot or you go home. But it's kind of like surfing or similar to, like, ice skating. There's 3 judges. You have line, angle, style. And we're driving on these tracks that are about, like, a quarter of a mile, and we're driving on the NASCAR tracks typically, or, like, a road racing track like Atlanta. So these are, like, same tracks that, like, a lot of the IMSA circuit goes on, or NASCAR, and they'll put out these clipping points, so, like, an outside zone, an inside zone, and, like, the goal is we get up to speed, so speed's anywhere from, like, 80 to 120, going in a straight line where you have full traction. And then you break traction and go sideways.
Holy crap. That sounds scary.
You have to fill these zones. So outside zones, getting your rear bumper as close to the wall as possible.
Damn.
Or your front bumper, like, as close to the clipping point as possible, while maintaining your line, angle, and then style, which is broken down into, like, fluidity and commitment. Like, how committed are you? How good does it look? Is it graceful? Is it choppy? Like, every small adjustment is a deduction in points. So there's 100 points that you can get in qualifying, and then from there we go into a competition style, and top 16 drivers go into main competition, and typically there's anywhere from 40 to 50 competitors that show up on a weekend.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And you said you only got one attempt, or how does it work?
Yes, so basically it's a bracket style competition, and in order to determine your bracket, you have a qualifying. With qualifying, you have, and it's kind of different in every circuit. Some of them are, they want you to battle it out to where the top 32 drivers battled for those positions, meaning, like, they did a proper tandem style competition. Tandem, which means you have a lead driver and a follow driver. The lead driver's performing what they would call a perfect qualifying run, maintaining line angle style. You know, like how we talked about those outside zones, those inside zones.
Yeah.
The follow driver has to be a mirror image of what the lead driver's doing.
Holy
so, like,
crap.
It's crazy because everything happens so fast. It's so important that you study your other components, like all of your other competition. And you want to know, okay, how is this person going to initiate? How are they going to adjust? At what speeds do they enter? How do they enter? And as a follow driver, you want to mirror them. So then once they go and do their lead run, you swap, go back to the line, and then now it's your turn. You do a lead run, and your other person who's following does a follow run.
That's insane.
So, and the crazy thing about it all is each run that we do, the reason why it's kind of so short is because we go through a set of tires every 2 laps.
Oh my gosh.
So you get your lead run and then you get your follow run on that set of tires.
Because the rubber's just burning off, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. Sounds expensive too.
Yeah, tire budgets are definitely a thing.
Damn, that's nuts. You much prefer a lead, I'd imagine, right, than a follower?
Honestly, I think in competition, it depends. When you lead first, you are more subject to, if you make a mistake in the lead line, obviously your person who's following is going to be affected by your mistake, right? So if you're leading first, you have the most pressure. because if I mess up in my run, then I know I really have to push in my follow run. Whereas if I follow first and the other guy makes a mistake, I know that I don't have to do anything crazy or wow to win the judge is over in my lead run.
Navigating the professional job search is hard. You know the perfect job is out there, you're just not sure how to find it. The good news is you don't have to go at it alone. You need specialized recruiting group. Connect at srgpros.com, srgpros.com. They're here to guide you and help you find a role that fits, all without costing a dime. Meet specialized recruiting group, offering a tailored approach to find your next role. Go to srgpros.com, srgpros.com, and get on the right course. Your local specialized recruiting group team knows which businesses are hiring and can offer you a path to contract and full-time roles. If you don't see the role you're looking for on the website, Specialized Recruiting Group also recruits for confidential roles, so give an office near you a call to learn more. Take the next step in your career by starting at srgpros.com, srgpros.com. That makes sense. So it's almost good to go second then.
I know.
Follow first.
Some people have different preferences. It really just depends on the track, like who you're battling. Some people, there's a lot of there are some drivers that love to play games. So, they'll hesitate on the takeoff or they'll be doing a certain type of initiation and entry every single time during practice. But then as soon as it gets to competition, they'll change it. So there's there's a lot of strategies that go on behind.
I like that because I'm a chess player.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of similar.
So there's some mental games going on too. It's not just about the race.
So you got to really you cannot react to your lead driver. You have to anticipate your lead driver. Similar with chess. I'm not a big chess fan, but
You're not?
I've never really played chess, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
I'm assuming it's the same.
It's a good game because it's all skill based.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of luck.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of skill. Back to what I was saying, though, with you have one chance. You have one chance to rely on your car to also work. So it's huge and it's crucial that the preparation that goes into preparing for the competition is very perfect. My team that I have a team of quite a few people, and we have our engineers, we have our tire changers, we have our fuelers, but even that, our crew chief, I could go out and my car could overheat at the line.
Wow.
And I can call a 5-minute timeout and I have 5 minutes to fix the car.
Does that happen to you?
I've definitely had to call a 5 before. When you call a 5, it's typically when you're on the spot, up ready to go and compete. Or possibly you do your lead run, you find a problem with the car, something happens, you want to call a 5. You're not allowed to touch the car until the technical directors are there and they start the clock at 5 minutes. If you touch the car, you're automatically disqualified.
Holy crap.
That's when your time starts. The preparation that goes on behind the scenes with pre-season prep is say we do get into a crash in my lead run, and my guys have 5 minutes to fix the shock in the front arm. I have these spare boxes that are full complete sets of bolt-on, bolt-off for each corner of the car. So typically in our trailer we have my car as well as my brother's car. We have 2 full sets to build 2 completely different cars.
That's insane.
So,
in 5 minutes?
5 minutes. And our crew guys will practice that. Obviously there is a point in time where you're okay, this is unreasonable to do a motor change in 5 minutes, you just have to call it, but there is that kind of crucial factor. But as much as you can prepare for those moments, the better off you are, because there's really no luck. It's more of the preparation and the skill.
Yeah, that's insane. Are accidents pretty common in this?
Yeah, we are driving within inches of each other. So
damn.
Typically we have a brand new paint scheme on the car for the first round, and by not even 10-20 minutes into your first practice session you have tire marks on your door. We're driving so close to each other that it's you're rubbing the tires on the front fenders, or you're getting your rear bumpers close to the wall, and they call it you ride the wall and you leave the paint mark on the white concrete barrier.
That's insane. Your heart must be racing.
Yeah, we go through a lot of taillights.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of bumpers. There's definitely no bumper budget is another thing.
Yeah, you gotta have crazy mental resilience for this sport, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's very mind challenging, I would say. A lot of other drivers, I personally feel I've driven in many different forms of motorsports and many different disciplines. So for me, drifting is honestly the hardest when it came to mental preparation.
Wow.
I figure skated for 10 years, and like every single time I would practice my routine over and over and over again. At least one of my jumps or spins would not be how I wanted it to be during competition.
Dang.
You know, so it's kind of similar to when I'm drifting. It's like you can prepare as much as you possibly can, but when you're actually like get up to the line, the nerves are applied, the pressure's applied, that's when it really matters. Like, that's when the mental training can kind of really come into play.
I'm the same way in basketball with free throws. I'll make 20 in a row, and then the game starts, I'll miss every single free throw.
Yeah.
It's crazy how the sport can do that to you, right?
Well, and for me, it's crazy too, just because like I had like I was able to see how like my younger childhood, like sports that I played in, really translated into like what I'm doing as a career now. And like with figure skating, like it wasn't up until I was about maybe 14, 15, and I was at a drift competition, and it just clicked like one day, and I was like, it's no different than a practice run. Like, why am I getting so worked up about it? You know, I found ways to actually calm my body down. I love cold plunging. And like when I first started cold plunging, I used to be like freaking out, you know, like you get in the water and you're like, this is so hard.
Yeah.
But you kind of find a way to bring your heart rate down. You know, you focus on one thing, you slow your breath down, you slow your heart rate down. Like same concept when it comes to, you know, pulling up to the line or going out to skate in the competition.
Yeah, that's probably important to have that method of kind of decompressing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Before a big race. And you've raced in some big ones lately. You just made the podium at Formula Drift, right?
Yes, first female to podium in Formula Drift.
That's incredible.
Making history. I've been working at that goal for about 3 years.
Congrats.
So it was very emotional accomplishment. There's no female in pro. So I'm in Pro Spec. There's 4 ranks, similar to NASCAR. You know how like in NASCAR you have ARCA, Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup Series. With Formula Drift or the drifting scene, you have like a grassroots level, which is more of like lower horsepower cars. You know, you could bring like your mom's car out and try to drift it. And then you have like your Pro-Am level. And in order to move into the like up the ranks, you have to place top 3 in the championship. So that's for a full season. Which means like events anywhere between 4 to 8 rounds, winning that championship, and placing top 3. So there's Pro-Am, Pro Spec, and then Pro. So I'm in Pro Spec, and I'm the highest ranking in Pro Spec for females, but no female has ever made it to Pro.
Wow.
Like in the world.
That's
so
crazy.
For me, my goal is to be, you know, that one. And like, I don't know how I ended up in this sport, to be honest. Like my brother and I just kind of really gravitated towards it. We love the idea of it. We have great support there. We love the atmosphere. And, you know, it's more of like a family hobby turned career type situation, but my goal is to be the first female in pro.
That's impressive. I've had Danica on here, I think.
Oh, really?
Was she the first for NASCAR female?
I don't know about like first, but she definitely was like an icon.
Yeah. I remember watching her on ESPN as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was awesome. A legend. Yeah, it amazes me how people like her and you are like, there's not many female competitors, right, in this scene at all. Yeah,
there's we have one other female in my division. Internationally, there's about, I would say at a higher level, kind of like similar to my level, there's only about like 5 or 6 females.
Damn.
And I couldn't even put a number on how many males. Like,
yeah, probably thousands.
So, yeah, exactly.
And do you keep them separate? Like, are you friends with them, or do you view them as competition?
No, we're all friends.
Oh,
like,
you're all friends?
Everyone, that's what I love about the drifting community. And, like, even when I go to a practice event, like, I'm going to one this Saturday, and, like, you pull up to a practice event, and it's so accessible to the general public, like the drifting events and just drifting in general, that there is such a large female audience there.
Really?
So a lot of the females support each other. Over on the East Coast, they have this like club called Drift Kitchen, and it's like at least 20 females that have drift cars like in one state. And so a lot of the girls support each other. Everyone loves to just go out and like drive with your friends. Like that's the concept of drifting.
That's cool. Is it a new sport? Like how long has this been around, drifting?
So Formula Drift came to the United States in 2003.
Okay.
And I like was 1 year old like at that time. But it's crazy because I didn't really follow it until about COVID time, like 2019, I would say. But it came to the United States in 2003, and it's the fastest growing motorsport in the USA right now.
That's impressive.
So for me, I have really just been able to go and travel the world and see the other drift series other than just Formula Drift here. So there's like Drift Masters in Europe. Their last round is in Poland in a stadium that sells out with 60,000 people.
Damn.
So it's crazy because I didn't really understand the potential of this sport until I had gone international with it. I also didn't understand my social media following until I had realized how huge it is, like internationally, in Brazil, in Europe, in Japan. Like the scenes over there are insane.
So you got a big international following then.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't understand that, like until I went to like a true like cultured car event overseas.
Was that the Saudi Arabia trip you took or?
That was different. That was like a rally race that I was doing. So I raced in this series called Extreme E. There's 10 races. We race in 5 different remote locations in an electric race car.
That's crazy. Electric race car.
All-wheel drive electric race car. I raced for GMC, and our car was like a replica of a Hummer EV. I actually dailied a Hummer EV, which I thought was like pretty great. Like I really wasn't into electric cars until I dailied one, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. But yeah, I got to work a lot with the team on developing the front to rear power. There's so much you can do with the technology with having an electric race car that I had no idea about.
I didn't know they were that advanced.
Yeah, like turning inputs. Like if my steering wheel is turned at like 10, 15 degrees, I can distribute the power front and rear to a certain ratio. You can't do that with a combustion engine.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of like development that I worked with the team there.
Some of them are fast. I think, what is it? The Cybertruck's like 1.8 seconds, 0 to 60 now?
Yeah, they're crazy.
That's really fast. That must be faster than most like non-electric cars, I'd imagine.
I definitely think like the electric with combustion engine, like the hybrid prototype cars that they're doing are like insane because obviously you have the torque. You can't have that torque without the electric motor.
Yeah.
So.
How often are you doing rallies?
This year I'm actually taking off. The Extreme E series has been put on a pause right now. They're developing a hydrogen car.
Damn.
It's the first FIA licensed hydrogen racing series called Extreme H. As soon as they come out with the full schedule for Extreme H, Extreme E will more than likely be a tag-along series. So I'll get back into that stuff once they launch all the season details.
My buddy came on the show 2 years ago and predicted hydrogen cars blowing up. And
Yeah,
all the comments
How I
were,
feel about that.
yeah, all the comments were like, no way, like hating on them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You don't like them though?
I've never tested one, if I'm being honest. Like,
Yeah.
it'll be my first time going and driving a hydrogen car. But also, that was like, I never drove an electric car. And then I drove an electric race car for my first time in Saudi Arabia. So it was definitely the craziest thing for me to get used to was we're racing, in Saudi Arabia, we were racing over kind of where the Neon project is actually. And I just couldn't get over the concept of like no noise. I could hear everything. I could hear the shocks compressing. I could hear the sand hitting the fenders. Like,
Wow.
I was just like, I cannot, like, is the car braking?
It feels
What's
weird.
happening? So there was, for me, I was just kind of like, that was the biggest change, is just, being used to hearing everything that's happening with the car.
Yeah, because if you go 200 in a gas car, you're hearing everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're hearing the motor, right? You're not hearing, you're not really hearing, the shocks compressing or, a rock hit the side of the car. So, for me, I was just like, okay, we got to really get used to that.
Have you heard that race across the U.S.?
Is that in, more of a sports car?
It's like the fastest person to get from Cali to New York or something.
Yeah, I've seen something about that.
That one is so interesting to me.
I've never actually followed it, but
people get arrested everywhere.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
I
that one's
personally
crazy.
I drive like a grandma on the road.
Really?
I follow the speed limit, but
Wow.
Because I just I don't know. So for me, sometimes when I'm driving, I see someone blow by me at going 110. I'm like, is that necessary? I just understand the fact that I'm on the road with other drivers who you get into the car with a friend and you're in the passenger seat and they don't really know how to drive. And you're like, you can't put that person in the same environment as someone else doing 150.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's so funny to me how you have that mindset.
Yeah,
as
I'm
a
just
professional driver.
It makes me so nervous.
I got pulled over a few days ago, actually.
Oh, really?
97.
Nice. In a 65? Probably.
In a 65. To be fair, it just turned from 75 to 65.
Oh, okay.
And they never tell you when that change happens.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I deserve that. I pulled away I pulled off so quick. He was like, "Oh, thanks for pulling over that fast."
Yeah.
I saw him. I mean, he got me on the gun.
Yeah.
Have you been pulled over?
I have about like 5 speeding tickets.
Okay. I feel like it's so easy to speed though.
Honestly, I agree. And for me, my speeding tickets actually, majority of them came from California, towing a trailer.
Towing a trailer.
In California, you have to do 55 towing a trailer.
Oh.
Towards like everyone else is driving 80 around, you are like 70. So yeah, I've been caught a few times in California.
My U-Haul trip from Cali to Vegas felt forever.
It's very annoying.
Yeah, they only hit like 65, I think, the U-Hauls.
Yeah.
And everyone else is going 80 to 90 past you.
I know, and you're just like, this makes the trip feel 10 times longer.
Turned into a 6.5-hour trip from Cali.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that sucked. How was Scotland? I've always wanted to go to Scotland.
Scotland's good. Scotland, I've actually been to twice now. Actually 3 times. So Scotland is where our second stop was for the Extreme E Series. We were racing in an abandoned mine. So it was an abandoned coal mine.
That's cool.
It was about like 700 feet into the ground, I would say. Like, it was pretty insane.
Wow.
We were racing in and out of this mine, so they set up a track on the inside of it. Then they had a nice little like outside track on the outside of it. And Scotland is crazy because the weather is never reliable. You know, one day on a Saturday we raced. It was super sunny. Sunday we got to the track at like 7 a.m. There was so much fog and we couldn't start the race. The live stream had to get pushed back by like a couple hours because our medevac helicopter wasn't able to get in.
Wow.
So that was unfortunate. Extreme was like live, aired live. So a lot of the live streaming stuff was very important. But unfortunately, you know, like we showed up and there was nothing we could do with the weather.
How many people are on those live streams usually? Good amount?
Well, so it's actually aired on TV internationally.
Oh, wow.
So it's on the networks. Don't ask me the channels. The unfortunate part is it doesn't have the largest following here in America. So majority of the time, like my family or friends that were watching, it would come on the channels at like 11 p.m. or like 2 a.m. You know, so like one episode for 30 minutes, the other episode for 30 minutes for like a Saturday, Sunday. But it was huge in Europe. A lot of the drivers were from Europe. A lot of the drivers were actually like, we had Sebastian Loeb, who is like an insane rally car driver. Someone like Tanner Faust, who is also rally cars, you know, off-road. So I was racing against like the top level drivers.
Wow.
But a lot of them come from Europe.
Yeah.
So it was huge over in Europe.
I've noticed that with F1 Vegas, it's not as big here as F1 in Europe, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's just because if you look back like 20, 30 years and it's like NASCAR was what was popular here, you know? We're kind of in that phase where I personally think NASCAR is fading out. You still see a lot of like brands spending insane amount of money there, but there is, you know, like I said, the drifting community is growing, and now we have F1 in Miami, F1 in Vegas, F1 in Texas. So like I think we're starting to get more of like a diverse feel for motorsports other than just NASCAR in America.
Yeah, I don't hear as much about NASCAR as I used to. I'll say that.
Yeah, for sure. The stands are like not packed. Like I went to a NASCAR race and I watched the truck series and there was like very few people in the
Really?
I'm just like, it's crazy to me. Like,
wow.
And like the money that the brands are spending there, like millions and millions of dollars, like easily $7 million for like a tier 2 sponsor.
Holy
NASCAR.
Crap. Just to be on TV on the car?
Just to be on the car. And it's like, you know, like there's other motorsports where they are doing larger numbers. Like drifting is second to NASCAR in like their following. And so, or sorry, no, drifting is second most followed on social media, and that's with all American motorsports, so like IMSA, like sports car racing, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
But like our audience is millennials, right? Like we're on social media, we're watching on live streams, towards like NASCAR is more of like they're on the network, so like the older generation,
Old school. Yeah,
exactly.
So more money in that space basically.
Yeah, I definitely would say like not as much money as like an IMSA or an F1, but NASCAR is just, I don't know.
Hopefully the money gets there in drifting. I know with pickleball, they're still trying to figure out how to make money too.
Yeah, I actually just competed in a celebrity pickleball tournament.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, with I co-hosted the first day with Mario Lopez.
Okay.
And on the second day, I actually competed in the pickleball tournament.
Damn.
And let me tell you, like, I play pickleball with my friends just down the street as like a fun thing to do. But to see the brands that we were able to bring on board, like DoorDash, for example, it was just crazy to see like how fast this like sport's growing. I just went to Chicken and Pickle down the street, like here in Vegas, and the thing's packed. Like to get a bay, it was like I had to book 2 days in advance.
I didn't know that was open yet.
Yes,
I need to get out there. I love pickleball.
Yeah.
Was that the one with Andy Roddick and Andre Agassi, or was that a different pickleball event?
I'm not sure. Oh no. This was different. So
Okay.
It's called Celebrity Pickleball Bash. We had like Terrell Owens, Brandy Chastain, so some fun like celebrities, and then we had a few like professional pickleball players.
Nice. Was Ben Johns there? He's the number one, I think. I don't know anyone else other than
honestly. I was co-hosting the first day. There was so much going on. It was my first time co-hosting. Like, I've never like done anything like that, so. I was just following the script. The script was going off. Like, we're trying to get back on center. Like, it was great. But
yeah, pickleball is fun. It's a hard sport, actually. People think it's easy, but it's not.
Like, I think it's so, like, entry level, like, accessible. But then as soon as you start playing with the pros, you feel like...
There's levels.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and my issue is I'm so tall, so I want to hit everything.
Yeah, like, dunk them. Like,
yeah, because it's going out, but my instinct is to hit it.
Some slams on the ground.
Because I used to play tennis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You ever play tennis?
No. So, like, this was my first time playing, like I'm not even good at ping pong. Damn. So I was like, I'm going to go on stage and go play pickleball in front of all these people in a theater. And it was, like, NBA All-Star Weekend. So, we were in the theater in San Francisco, and I was just like... All right, like, I'll be the laugh of the show. I'm not going to be the pro, that's for sure. And I'm embracing it before I go out there.
How'd you do?
My team lost. So, it was fine. I think it was me and Hunter Pence.
I don't know.
He's a former former baseball player.
Baseball, okay.
Yeah, and so him and I were teammates. He's very competitive. He definitely held most of the way for our team. But
I've seen those videos where the guy's playing with the girl and the guy will just hit all the shots.
I was playing against Brandy Chastain and also Uriah, who is like a former UFC.
Uriah Hall?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on the show.
Yeah, so that's who I was playing against. Like, Brandy just honestly like bullied me like so bad. Like, she was just like, "We're winning this." I was like, "All right."
Well, you probably have really fast reaction time, right?
Yeah, but honestly, like, when we were on the stage, there were so many lights I couldn't see the ball coming.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I don't know if I'm like silly or what it is, but also everyone played the day prior. Everyone was able to.
They got loose.
Whatever. So it was fun time though.
Yeah.
That's what it was about.
You did some stuff with the Air Force. I saw on your YouTube.
Yeah, so I'm actually sponsored by the Air Force.
Wow.
I've been working with them. This is going to be year 4 working with them. So we do a lot with their recruiting team. We really like to, highlight the concept of in the Air Force, there's jets, right? And with the jets, there's a crew chief, tire changer, fuel, or mechanics. And that's very similar to our race team. So it's a very good crossover collab that we always do, like highlighting the similarities between the racing industry and like the Air Force and the military. Like one team, one goal type situation.
Yeah.
So I've been fortunate enough to do insane things with them. I went and flew in an F-16 with them with the Thunderbirds. Pulled 9.1 Gs.
That's the fastest jet, right?
Yes,
that's
insane.
Crazy.
I did some canine training with them. I have worked with them on doing some like ground training stuff with their team that goes in with the other like military when they're going into like to a place or a base, like, and they're not allowed to bring any guns. They will be the people like protecting like everyone as far as like training like chokeholds and like
hand-to-hand
like,
stuff,
self-defense, like that kind of stuff. So that was fun. I changed a tire on a carrier plane.
That's impressive. I can't even change a tire on a car.
So yeah, it was fun.
On
Everything
a plane.
is very book to book when it comes to how they do things, which is like similar to our race team.
Yeah.
My tire changer, similar concept, just to their airplane tire changer. So the most recent thing I've done with them was skydiving. I jumped out of an airplane, which I never thought I was going to do. I honestly, so I fly planes.
Yeah.
And I don't have my license for my private pilot's license, but I have about 45 hours. So I just haven't done the ground school. But regardless of that, I am I'm never jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, you know? And they're like, hey, do you want to go jump with the Wings of Blue in Colorado at the Air Force Academy? And I was like, if I say no, I'm turning on a one-time offer.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
We went and jumped with their Wings of Blue team, which is their demo team that jump into a lot of their events with the smoke on their feet. So I did a tandem jump, and I honestly would love to go again and do skydiving, and I want to go get certified.
Damn, you liked it that much?
So much fun.
Wow.
I love adrenaline rushing things. The concept of it could go wrong fast. I think is similar to anything else that we do, and as long as you're prepared, you kind of limit that fear of it. But I'm definitely going to be going and jumping.
Wow.
more.
So you weren't shitting your pants during that?
I was. I totally was. Until I jumped out of the airplane. And I'm terrified of heights. I will not even cliff dive. I don't like jumping off cliffs. I don't jump off the waterfall into the pool. I'm terrified of that.
Wow.
It makes me sick to my stomach. But when I stood on the edge, he was like, okay, take another step. And I was like, what? But for me, it was more just the thought of falling out before I was ready. You know what I mean? But there was really no time to be ready. He was ready. So that didn't matter, you know? But once you jumped out of the plane, it was so peaceful. I find it was very similar to just riding a Harley or riding a motorcycle. You know, you have a lot of wind in your face. So it was peaceful though. It was so cool. Once you deploy the chute, you're kind of just floating around. We did some tricks. We did a backflip.
Oh my God. On your first jump, you did a backflip?
So, I mean, it was the Wings of Blue team. So full trust in him.
Yeah, they've probably done thousands of those.
Insane amount of jumps. And we were at the Air Force Academy in Colorado. So we actually went up in the plane with quite a few other kids that were taking skydiving as an elective. So
That's an elective?
Yeah. In the Air Force, you can choose your electives. And
wow.
The only rule that I found out about, though, that I was like, there's no way. There was a guy that was in our plane, and he was like, I'm jumping out for my first time. But he was by himself.
Really?
So in the Air Force, when you take this academy, the Air Force Academy in Colorado, when you choose this elective, they train you. And they do, the training facility is insane. You know, there's rappels coming out of the roof, simulating more of, skydiving for your first time.
Got it.
But he trained for a certain amount of weeks. And then he went up in the plane, and that was his first time jumping. So the whole idea is to trust your process, trust in yourself, and, he packed his own chute and everything. He jumped out of the plane, and I'm like, this is your first time jumping out? There's no way I would jump out.
Yeah,
but, I mean, I guess with that training, it's, it's crazy. But, yeah, there was, a group of students up there, and that was their elective. Is skydiving.
First time by yourself? Because I think if you do it, at a place, you need to jump with, someone, 100 times or something?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. The Air Force does great training. Shout out to them.
Yeah, it is. Their training facilities are top notch. And when I toured this Air Force Academy, you know, there's so much that's going on there. They have reaction time training. A lot of the training, actually, I was like, wow, I could use this for my own benefit, you know? The facilities are so nice. As far as the electives, they have so many electives. It's so focused around your physical fitness, and I'm so into that stuff, and you know, just learning about the body and that kind of stuff. So they have, you know, pools and high dive jumping and just a lot of cool features, simulators that will simulate I went into a simulator and simulated hypoxia.
Really?
So for when the jets obviously begin to lose cabin pressure at a certain altitude, you know, you have a loss of oxygen. Your body goes into hypoxia. So Brandon and I simulated hypoxia on the simulator, where they
Wow.
put a mask on us. We were flying a jet on a sim. And they're like, okay, we want you to recognize the symptoms of hypoxia. So this is how they train their fighter jet pilots, you know, to know what to do when something like that happens, or to recognize the symptoms before it happens and it's too late.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
So you just got dizzy on the simulator, basically?
Actually, my color went first, so everything turned black and white.
Damn.
And for my brother, he immediately recognized it. He just felt very lightheaded, he said. So for me, everything turned black and white, and I was like, whoa,
Crap.
but it's the loss of oxygen to your brain.
Yeah, that's nuts. Do you ever do those race simulators? Like, are those accurate?
Yeah, I drive on a SimMagic racing sim, which is really popular in the drift industry. It's a full e-brake, throttle brake, like steering wheel setup with a seat. So I have a full 3D screen that kind of like, a full 360 screen that goes around, so like I can see everything left to right. And that's how we train, because like we were talking about, like those tire budgets are not cheap.
Yeah.
So it's very, very accurate. It helps with training muscle memory, just getting used to like the visuals. And so that's how I typically train for an event.
That makes sense. You said it scored, you start at 100. What's the highest score you've ever gotten on drifting?
That's a good question. Like, I would say St. Louis 2 years ago, I qualified second, which was like the highest I've ever qualified.
Okay.
And for me, like I do 4 events a year for the Formula Drift series. So with that, it's like I've only, done about 16, I would say.
16 races.
Yeah, with Formula Drift.
Yeah, that's not that many, right?
Yeah. So with the pro level, you do 8 a year. So like I go to almost all of them because I own the team with my brother. And so I'm there like managing everything. I do all the sponsorship side of things, so making sure partners are happy, that kind of stuff. But yeah, outside of those 4 Formula Drift events, we also drive in like, there's like a Grid Life event that's like T-Pain will like play there, and then he'll also go drift his car. So it's like more of a festival style.
More casual.
But I do compete in events about every like 3 weeks out of the month, I would say.
So you're traveling a lot.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know you owned the team too.
Yeah, so my brother and I own it together. We have 2 cars, obviously, but we do all of the sponsorship, funding, like I do that kind of side, and he does the car management side.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
You might be the youngest team owners, right?
Yeah, we are.
That's super cool.
And this year we're bringing on, I have a 13-year-old brother. He is now the youngest licensed Pro Spec driver.
Wow.
So in Formula Drift, he's the youngest licensed driver. So he'll be joining our team. So I'll have 3 cars, 2 semis traveling around, and then we're going to have a pro driver come on the other team. So 2 semis traveling to 8 major like markets across the United States, competing in these Formula Drift events.
That's cool.
And 4 cars total.
Did your parents really push this on you guys? Because 3 of you guys are doing this.
Honestly, it's one of those things like the family time that you get driving at the track together, doing in like motorsports is so addictive. Like in motorsports, there's more than just driving the car, like we've talked about. Like, managing the budgets, managing partnerships, managing relationships, understanding how to build a personal brand, talking to PR. So it's nonstop. Like every single day that I wake up is dedicated to growing like my own personal brand as well as like my career in motorsports, So same with my brothers, and it was just kind of like that hobby, like I said, that took over and turned into a career.
That's awesome. What's next for you and the brother, and where can people find you?
As far as what's next, you never really know. Like going into 2025, I will be driving in Formula Drift and Pro Spec, possibly dipping my feet into some more off-road stuff. I have a huge partnership announcement coming out, so I'm super stoked. And I'll be signing with an energy drink, which I think is super awesome.
Nice.
But I just continue like pushing, growing the personal brand, driving in all these different types of motorsports. And they can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook at Amanda Sorensen.
Perfect. Check her out, guys. Thanks for coming on. That was fun. See you guys.
Thank you.